at AirVenture, and we had to come by and look at something that I had trouble grasping at first, what the importance of electronic circuits were. We all know about that row of circuit breakers on our instrument panels, and that's the old way. There's a new way of doing this. I'm Dan Johnson. I'm talking with Chad Jensen from V-Power. And actually, you've got a little difference in how the company is working today. So before we get into the product, let's talk about what happened. We talked with Mark Osman before.
Correct.
And that's different now. So how's it different?
Yes. Okay, so Mark sold the company last year, December of 2013. A company called Astronix, a multi-billion-dollar company, actually purchased the product line from Mark, and we replaced it with a company underneath Astronix called Ballard Technology.
Okay.
Astronix owns about 9 different companies, all aviation related or aerospace industry.
Okay.
Ballard Technology was a good fit because they kind of already do some of the data collection type of boxes for commercial and military applications. So Vertical Power is a good fit. They're really excited to get involved in the experimental community. So that's where we're
I'm guessing if you're a billion-dollar company behind it all, a lot of that is not in experimental or light sport aircraft. So we're glad to have a big player come in and play in our space, if you will.
Yeah, and they're learning a lot in the process here. So
well, there's a lot of innovation in this part of aviation. So I would think that might be important to a company that does what you do in your other endeavors.
Yes, absolutely.
But electronic circuits, what does that really mean, Chad?
So an electronic circuit breaker is going to give us information that was not able to be seen before. Okay, so our old
you don't get any information out of a fuse.
You get nothing. Okay?
It's on or off. That's it.
It's a visual cue. If you have a circuit breaker, it's popped. That's all you.
That's all you know.
Okay, and a certain device is now turned on. So what we're able to do now with electronic circuit breakers through a microprocessor, it scans the entire board, tells us a lot of things about what's going on. We can measure current. We can give fault detection through short circuits, over current, no current. Lots of stuff that just wasn't available to us before will now display on a third-party EFIS and give us an overall health.
So the pilot can access, not just you guys when you're doing test bench stuff, but the pilot can know right now some of these things.
In cockpit, real time, what's going on with the health of our electrical system.
So what kind of companies are you working with to show that? Do you have your own EFIS? Are you using the EFISs that are already in the airplane, or how's that part work?
It's all third party now. The older products used to have a dedicated display, and we are now working through third party. We work with most of the major EFIS manufacturers, MGL, GRT, Advanced Flight Systems, Dynon, and Garmin.
Okay, well that's pretty much all the players in the space that we do business with.
Yep, absolutely. So we display on all of them. They develop the system, the page to work on their system. Okay, we don't define
the page meaning a screen page.
Exactly.
So there's going to be a button somewhere that relates to V-Power somehow.
Yeah, you're either going to press a VPX button or you're going to scroll to a VPX page.
Yep. All right. Yep. And then that will show you what? You said these factors, but how am I as a pilot? Okay, I'm flying, I've got a Dynon or Garmin or MGL or one of those other brands, and I'm flying along and I click to this and I go, uh-oh, there's a red light or something.
Okay. Well, if you're not on the VPX page, they will all display a fault on the main PFD page. You will know to go right to the VPX page, like I said, rather if it's through a VPX button or if it's a scroll over to the page, and that will give you the information that you're seeing. It'll give you the fault information that you've seen on that primary flight display. Okay, there's a device list. Every single device is listed. Current draws
available. Such as? Give me some examples.
Okay.
What would I see?
You would see an EFIS, you would see a COM1, COM2 if you have it, GPS, transponder, ADHARS units, trim servos, autopilot servos, boost pump. I mean, the list is
okay, so that's where I was going. It's not just what's going on with your panel. It may be your flaps or something that we think of as mechanical, but which are often electronically driven these days.
Yes.
And some of those other devices, components that you talked about.
Yeah.
So you're going to see all of those, and so a red light came on. You went to the page. Then what am I going to see on one component that's experiencing a problem?
Okay, so if you have a burned out taxi light.
Okay.
VPX fault, go to the VPX page, scroll to or press the cursor button, it's going to highlight the fault. It's going to go straight to the taxi light. It says no current. Okay. Now you know.
So I know I'm not going to have a taxi light when I get on the ground.
Whether it's burned out or if the terminal's fallen off or the crimp is broken. For some reason, we have no current on that light.
Yeah, in the past, I would only know that when I went to turn on the light and no light came on.
Exactly.
And
or, yeah, I mean, you turn on your light, you think it's on, you get down into your flare, and you'll have no lights.
It's looking kind of dark out here.
Yeah.
I would know that ahead of time, and I could at least be prepared.
Exactly.
You can't go do anything about it, but you could know it, and information is power. So.
Exactly. So you can reset it to.
I should say information is vertical power, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Nice one. So yeah, it's giving information to the pilot that wasn't available in the past.
Okay. Now, you got one of the boxes to show us what gets installed in an airplane?
Sure.
We just did a video earlier in the week with a company called World Aircraft.
Yes.
That apparently loves your stuff because I always see this bright red box.
Yeah.
So, like your shirt, you can't hardly miss a thing.
Exactly. This is the box. World Aircraft is putting them in all of their airplanes.
As are a number of other manufacturers.
Progressive
A growing
Aerodyne's,
number, it seems.
Progressive Aerodyne's putting it in the Sea Ray. Remote's just announced this week they're putting it in their new Ultima. So we're getting pretty good exposure to the LSA.
People got to understand first, and then they begin to grasp it.
Yes.
Now, one thing that World Aircraft told me, in particular, Sea Ray 2, as I recall, said, not only does it do the things you said, but it means I don't have to run power to things, to switches and so forth, quite the same way. Tell us a little bit more about that, Chad.
Okay, so we have 10 switches that are configurable and available to you to put whatever to label however you want. Okay, the switch will then tell the VPX which pins to power. So a good example is the avionics master. If you have 5 devices, 8 devices, 10 devices, whatever you want on your avionics switch, that switch is just it's a low signal ground. You complete the circuit, tells the VPX to turn on those pins, and they're now powered.
So all that can happen sort of behind the panel, so to say, and where the switch is that activates this thing is just a little thin wire because you're not really carrying power there, you're just carrying a signal.
It's just a few milliamps. Yep. So you can use whatever kind of switch you want. If you've got a favorite red switch somewhere that you like, if you've got a favorite car switch, Radio Shack, whatever, wherever you want to buy your switches from, it doesn't matter. There's no power requirements for a switch.
So you're really kind of simplifying the work of a designer, and I can imagine then that as people grasp what it is you've achieved with the VPX system, they're going to go, well, that means I could make my airplane prettier, make it more convenient for the pilot, make the reach not so far to do a certain thing, and they don't have to run higher voltage power to those sources.
Yes,
is that correct?
That is correct.
That sounds like an innovation that I would think designers would embrace, and then pilots get their side of it to go, hey, this aircraft is more convenient.
Yeah.
So some pretty cool stuff.
Easy. I mean, you're literally running a wire from the switch to the VPX to the device to ground. It's very, very
It actually sounds kind of simple when you describe it that way.
Yeah.
It seems sort of technology. Now, I'm looking at a box here that our camera's not going to show very well, but it's a picture inside this red box where you've made a piece of glass in a way, and it's just a circuit board inside there. There's no sparks flashing around inside there like
it kind of looks like a circuit board that you see inside of a computer or a laptop.
So it's really sort of the digitalization of circuit breakers.
Yes.
Yep. Cool.
Absolutely.
What a neat concept. Now, you got something else that we'll talk about later when you're done, but tell me where your company is going next, springboarding off this technology, and then when you're done with it, we'll come and do another video about that.
All right, that sounds good. We've got a system coming out called the primary power system.
So what will I do, Chad?
Okay, so it's going to take the place of our battery contactors, our starter contactors, the mechanical relays that have been used in airplanes for 70 years. We're kind of getting rid of that mechanical technology and going solid state with it. So,
could that be interpreted to the main starter switch, which has to have, again, significant power coming to it because it's going to interrupt the switch or the circuit or not? Now you do away with that, and it would be a simpler thing at the pilot side.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we're going to watch for that with Chad Jensen and Vertical Power at another air show somewhere.
We'll take care of it very soon.
Sounds great. So I'm still sorting this out in my mind, Chad, about, okay, I see you got a fake panel here, and it's all the usual stuff, boost pumps, landing lights, strobe lights, nav lights, and I suppose all the avionics switches and other stuff.
Right.
How does that translate to the screens that we see over here? I mean, I can see a little diagram here, but what am I actually going to see when I'm checking stuff? Okay, so when you power the system up, we've got an electrical system schematic here that shows the VPX, our battery contactor, and the battery, and our primary and auxiliary alternator. So
anytime we move a switch, something on the screen is going to change.
All right, give us an example of that,
So I'll
Chad.
turn on our primary alternator. On the screen now, that's turned green. And let me scroll up.
Go back on and off again
bit
so
here.
we see the change there.
Okay, so I'll turn that back off.
Okay.
the
You
box-
said, so you got a graphical reproduction of it as well as a list of items.
Yep, okay. And the primary alternator is right on the top of the list there. So you're going to get a green check mark. This is on Garmin's product. And showing the current being drawn off of the field wire.
Okay, you see a number there.
So I'll flip another switch. This is the avionics master. We're going to see 4 or 5 devices come online.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Check marks. Okay, now we have actual current being drawn on each particular device, and we also have a total system draw.
So a pilot will need to learn kind of what these numbers ought to be, and then he can go look at them and see, that one's weak, or I might have a problem there and I should investigate further.
Yeah. So if you start to see, your battery voltage counting down, you might have an alternator problem.
Yeah, something's happening somewhere that I need to investigate.
It's going to show you right there.
Yeah, I like the graphical reproduction as well. The list of information, especially now I'm envisioning an airplane bouncing around in turbulence or whatever, and the graphical really is going to bring the point home very well.
Absolutely. And again, if something does trip, you got the red flag on the PFD, go straight to the
so I'm not looking at that all the time. I'm going to get a blinking light or something that says, hey, go investigate further.
Exactly.
All right, great.
So, thank you.
Chad, you've given us a lot of information, plenty to think about here, but people have a lot of questions beyond what we've been able to cover or want to cover in these videos. Where can we find you on that?
All of our information is at verticalpower.com. Lots of tabs to select through, lots of drop-down menus, and we also have an online planner that you can get started on your electrical system prior to actually purchasing it. So it's all available on the website, verticalpower.com.
Great. So designers and home builders can find out a lot of stuff to plan what they're going to do before they actually start doing it.
Sure thing.
Great stuff. A lot of information about vertical power, lots of airplanes available on buydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. Thanks for joining Chad Jensen of Vertical Power and myself here at AirVenture.
Thank you, Dan.